Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Curious Realm's continuing coverage of the Texas UFO Conference here in fabulous Jefferson, Texas. We have the great pleasure of being joined by Texas's own Derrel Sims, the alien hunter himself. Welcome to the show.
Well, I hope it's me. I'm wearing a shirt.
You have a magnanimous personality, no mistake, but you also have been in the world of paranormal investigation and also actual investigation as a private investigator, things like that, for many years. What is it that, because you were actively an experiencer yourself?
That's correct. I don't use the term experiencer. There are all kinds of terms. People use abductees, contact, all kinds of stuff. The reason I don't use the word experiencer, and it's perfectly fine if people do, is because I've investigated cases, tens of thousands of cases, over 50 years, from all over the world, and people get abducted. In other words, when I'm doing police work and I'm working an actual abduction, kidnapping, that's what it is. People never say to me, Derrel, there are good kidnappers and bad kidnappers.
Yeah.
I never get that.
True.
I always get, thank you for bringing my son back.
Yeah.
So for me, it definitely is an experience, but many times in the cases I work, people don't know what that experience is.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's good, I don't care if it's bad. It's just evidence to me. Because that's all it boils down to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a story. So.
Well, and I've heard you say that numerous times, and I love that. I love that because I myself, I've had numerous experiences in my life, paranormal, all kinds of things. That's a lot of reason why I do this show, is because until proven otherwise, I will always believe the experiencer until evidence points to something else. You know, and I look for the day that evidence points to something else of my experiences, be they religious or paranormal.
Absolutely.
That happened to me. I am perfectly open of mind to anything that can explain the experiences that I had. That's the path that I'm on in life, is to find that out. And you yourself, once again, most people, we use the term experiencer, but most people have not invited the alien abduction experience into their life. It is something that has been forced upon them, which, leads to PTSD, leads to all kinds of issues in life, especially with investigators like yourself, people who are even police officers, things like that. When they see something, they have no means by which to report it without fear of losing badge, career, things like that. And that does something to a person in and of itself.
Well, even when I was in the CIA during the Vietnam War, I wasn't in Vietnam. I was in the Vietnam War time, and I was placed in the CIA in country for 2 years, and then I spent a year in Korea. Anyway, while I was in the company, I did not work for the company for the purpose of aliens and things like that.
Yeah.
But I still did UFO investigations because some of the people that I was connected with were abductees. And
oh, wow.
So that was, but I kept that completely private. And some of them were students at the University of what's the name of it? William and Mary College.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know where I'm talking about.
Sure.
So I worked at the spy camp right near there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was there for 2 years. I was a martial arts instructor and a weapons instructor there. And they tried to recruit me to bring me back and said, you're what we want. And I thought, that's really weird. So
welcome to the group W, bitch.
Nah, not interested. I got out of that.
Okay.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Corrupting other people for the purpose of saving my country, making mine better, is not exactly the moral imperative that I thought I should have in life.
Sure. Yeah. The ends justifies the means is not always the case.
People are going to do it, and that's fine. But I'm not going to be the one to destroy your life in order for me to look good, so I can get a better GS rating and help my country do whatever I need to do, whatever I think that is, or whoever up there thinks that is. I'm not interested in doing that.
Well, and when it comes to your abduction, Derrel, how did that experience change you? How did it change the way that you actively look at these situations?
Well, the event started in 1952, and I was 4 years old, and I'm just use terms. I just throw them out, and if it helps, fine, and whatever. But it was like I was switched on, and I'm not sure why that happened, because the alien certainly wasn't interested in it. And I noticed he was walking toward the wall, away from me, and it is about 3 a.m, and there's an ambient light from our well house shines in my room, so I can see quite well, and I can see he's pure white. Well, who is that? And just as I said that, in my head, he turns around. I realize he can hear me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I mean, 4 years old, you don't know anything. You had no clue about life. So I don't know who it is. It's wintertime. It's freezing cold. I got my covers all around me, and he hasn't got any clothes on. So kids see things different than the adults do. Adults might say, oh, well, that's an alien from another world. I think I'll communicate with him, or I'm going to be scared, or whatever it is I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Kids don't do that. He's got these big, perfectly round eyes that are 1.5 inches across, perfectly round. Now look, where's his nose? He's got 2 little pinholes for a nose. Where's his ears? They're gone. A little slit for a mouth, a little tiny bony neck, and then he hasn't got any of these, and he hasn't got a belly button. Where's his TT?
Wow.
That's what kids notice.
Yeah.
You don't have any clothes on, kids want, where's your TT?
Totally.
You know, they don't have a clue. They have so I was stunned by the whole event, trying to figure out what in the world, why is he in our house?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he just brought me back.
Interesting.
And he's leaving, and I got switched on at the wrong time. I do that from time to time, and there's a reason we're mentioning that. I call it hot miking, and people often ask me, how do you know so much? How do you write books about this? You must have read everybody's books. I said, I haven't read anybody's books. Yeah. Why not? That's because everybody would say, you've been reading all our stuff printed. And I haven't read anybody's books. I haven't printed anybody's anything. I said, the reason I know so much about the alien is because however it happened, accidental or otherwise, when I was 4, I was abducted, and I get the mental experience there.
Yeah.
But by the same token, there's another half of my brain that's sitting there listening to him talk to whoever he's talking to.
Yeah.
And I call it hot miking. In other words, it's like if you had a hot mic on the president, and he said something he didn't want to say, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah, you're still patched in.
I'm still patched in, and I don't know how it happened. I have no idea. It's not a superior intelligence on my part, obviously. But you're not supposed to be laughing at me.
I'm sorry.
All right, that's it. All right, interview's over. Yep. So, but whatever it was, I learned how to redo that. And for my abduction events went on for 13 more years.
Wow.
Till I was 17, and I was still able to hot mic. So what hot mic means, for instance, I got an implant when I was 12. That's how I knew about implants. Not because I read it, because nobody had written about it. So I knew it in 1960 because I was conscious during the event. Never had hypnosis or anything like that. I remember anything. I remember my events. I was there. So my point is that in the hot miking during the implant part of it, I heard what they wanted me to hear. It won't hurt. You won't feel anything. Don't worry about it. We're here to help you, and all of that. Well, that's a lie. And so I'm listening to them talk to each other, and they're not saying that at all. And the weird thing is about when they give you information or whether you get information from them, it's almost like it's multidimensional. You not only hear the words, the concepts in their head, but you understand the process. Now, I'm 12 years old, and I assure you, I do not understand the process, what they were talking about.
Sure.
I should not know that.
Yeah.
I went to college at MSU and studied in advanced psychology to find out what that was about.
Yeah.
And I got a profound answer. They're no more than 15 to 50 years ahead of us. Most people don't know that. Dr. Bob Wood's the only person I know that ever knew that. He asked me that, and I said, they're no more than 15, 50 years ahead of us. And he said, everybody said they're 1,000 years. I said, I don't care what they say. I know what they said, and I know what I know. I've studied this. That's what I do. And He said, those are the exact figures that I came to, Derrel.
Wow.
I said, how'd you do that? And I had him write that on an email so I could have proof, because people say, he never would have told you that. Yeah, he actually did.
And that's remarkable to think about, that they're only 15 to 50 years ahead of us.
Well, in my presentation, I'll cover that pretty quickly, and it's going to alienate people, so to speak, right off the bat, because everybody says, well, they're millions of years. I said, no, somebody's millions of years ahead of you. Whoever hatched, cloned, made, or manufactured these 7 type entities that are visiting us called aliens, they're not them.
Yeah.
Someone else is in charge. And I said, if you can't figure that out, I can't help you. You don't want to figure it out, I can't help you. And I don't want to. I'm happy with whatever you want to believe in.
Yeah.
But the fact is that that's not the true story. I'm an investigator. I have to have the rest of the story.
And it's interesting that you bring up the hatched concept, the idea that these are basically almost like genetic machines that are rehatched, reformed, things like that. Lynn Buchanan from Project Stargate is a good friend of the show, and speaking with him on the show about it, have you ever remote viewed aliens? He said yes, once. And the one thing that he saw was the fact that the Greys specifically, the little robot beings, as people call them, the ones that are very interested in how we transmit soul and how we're a vehicle for soul, that they basically had to, in order to become what they are, become a hive mind, had to give up individuality. So even though they have this amazing realm of technology, they have no means by which to be ingenious with it and apply it to new things. So they're sharing technology with us so that we as ingenious creatures can help them find new ways to apply their technology to help their species.
Well, one of our
interesting concept.
Yeah, it is. And one of my abductees was crying one night. She came and she said, they got me again. And I said, okay. And she's bawling and she says, they're going to get my kids if I give you any more information. I said, why do you think that is? She says, what do you mean? I said, you think they're going to get them anyway? She says, yes. I said, then give me more information, because they're going to get them anyway. Yeah. So anyway, she says, but you got to help me. I said, as a humanitarian, I do. And so I gave her certain skills that I had learned and developed over a long period of time. And she, when the alien came the next time, about a month later, she took control of him.
Interesting.
And she said, I couldn't believe it. I said, they're more amenable to us than us to them. I said, I don't care what anybody tells you. I said, these guys are hatched, cloned, made, manufactured for the purpose of doing certain things for someone else. They are not it.
Yeah.
Something else is, and that's not it. I said, my point to you is simply this. There's nothing they can do to us, and there's, in my opinion, and that's just an opinion.
Sure.
And there's nothing that we can't do to help ourselves.
Yeah.
If we need to.
That we can't undo that they've done.
So she took control of him,
Good.
Put her arm around him on 2 different occasions, and tore his eye cover off.
Wow.
And saw what was beneath it.
And what was beneath it, Derrel?
It wasn't an eyeball.
Wow.
There was a stippled screen with 6 little white lines running back and forth, like something you might see in a medical setting. So, in my opinion, again, I can't prove it, it's my opinion. We have some DNA, but that doesn't prove anything yet, because $14,000 a test for stuff we're doing. It's a little expensive, and I am asking your audience to send all your money as fast as possible.
Send it to us, and we will make sure to send it to Derrel.
Don't send anything. If you're not supposed to be involved in this, you shouldn't be.
Well, and that is definitely something to be said. Like right now, I'm getting ready to go to Oklahoma to help literally archive the files of the International UFO Bureau.
Wow.
Because it was one of those, like when I heard the conversation of we're getting ready to ship it off to somebody, I was like, whoa, you're letting 9 boxes of material leave your possession? I have equipment that I can travel to you. Like, I will come and archive your stuff where it's at. Because, yeah, these things literally just disappear, Derrel.
They do.
They just disappear. And even when it comes to archiving materials, when it comes to saving something like you have, possible fingernails, possible DNA, possible things that have been touched by them. When it comes to saving this material to be examined by science, to possibly hit a lab, we need to try and make sure that it's preserved in the best way possible. How can people go about possibly preserving some of the evidence that they've possibly gotten, like implants from inside of them, fingerprints maybe that have appeared on a window, or fluids that are on their body after an abduction experience?
That's a great question, and one that people should have access to. They can write me at alienhunter.com, and I'll answer all your questions privately, and in total, you can respond in confidence. Some people are open about it, and that's fine. Others are not, and that's okay. We've talked to several today that were very private.
I've seen quite a few people
some that are
come
open,
over.
and that's okay. It's whatever. I'm open because I can't help everybody by being secretive.
That's right.
A lot of our work is private. It's not secret, but it is private because of privacy with other people.
Absolutely.
But the best way to do that is to contact me and ask questions. Ask any questions you want. And I answer all the questions that I possibly can, and am glad to help you in any way I can to send you on. Some of the top people in some of the top UFO organizations, including scientists, send their private stuff to me. There's a reason for that. As one scientist said, stuff tends to disappear when I send it certain places.
Yep.
I said, I'm not picking on anybody, but that's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
I said, if it disappears with me, the buck stops here. You blame me.
Yeah.
You don't blame anybody else. It's me.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
And that's kind of how I put it to them for archiving that information was, it'll disappear in a heartbeat, and not necessarily in any nefarious way. Like, hey man, I sent a grip of equipment to a guest to take to Belize with him. This was 3 weeks prior to his expedition. Overnighted via FedEx. It literally circled for it took a month and a half to get back to me. It never even made it to him. That was a private courier like FedEx. It's no guarantee it's going to get to the lab just because you've sent it via private courier. Like, unless you can physically carry it on a plane and walk in and go, here it is, you need to be careful with it.
Well, we've had, in times past, friends who were producers of certain TV programs and go and buy film, NASA film, illegally, of course, and literally, while they were smiling, sitting at a restaurant up at the counter, two people sit down beside him on the other side of him and said, you have some stuff that's ours.
Yeah, we need to get that.
And I said, what did you do? And he said, I gave it to him. I said, why? Well, I thought they were going to kill me. I said, in a restaurant in front of everybody?
In a Denny's?
I don't think so. Not a Denny's. No. You might die from,
maybe in a Stuckey's, but not
going to happen. So anyway, he looked at me and said, well, anyway, I lost all the film, the photos, and I said, oh, that's too bad. So I tossed some photos up on his desk. I said, you mean those photos of UFOs on the moon? Where did you get those? I said, I didn't pay $15,000 for them. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I said I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. And I have been around the block a couple of times. So I said, there they are. It'll help you out. I said, the film footage, I said, I can't believe you get. I said, all you had to do is say, these men are attacking me, whatever you need to say. I think they got cocaine. Cops are going to get everybody at that point. We're all going to find out who they are.
That's right.
They're not going to like that.
Yeah.
I said, so there are different things you do to kind of protect yourself, but the bottom line is that I had a quick funny story.
Please.
2 FBI special agents went out to one of my abductees' home, and it scared him so bad. And of course, they intimidate. We're ex-special agents with the FBI. What is that supposed to mean to me? Nothing. So anyway, he calls me on the phone. He's scared. He's all upset. And I said, are they still there? And he said, yeah. I said, put them on the phone.
Yeah.
He said, I'm ex-special agent. And I said, well, I'm ex-CIA. You know what that means? Nothing. All my exes live in Texas.
That's it. Yeah.
And it don't mean nothing. I said, if I were there with you, I said, this conversation would be a lot different than what it currently is.
Yeah.
As you think you intimidate me in any way, shape, or form, you're on the wrong planet. I said, you don't mean nothing to me. That's why are you there at my abductee's home without my permission? Well, Bob Bigelow said, I don't care if Bob sent you down there or not. I said, why did you not call me and ask? This is decent stuff, and you're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, well, we're just looking for the biology in this case, and I said, well, did you find any? He said, no. He said, you got it all. I said, I guess I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty thorough then.
Well, Bob, he'll come down and visit you and take you to dinner. I said, I'm sure he will, but he won't be leaving with biology.
Yeah.
I said, you don't disrespect me and then expect me to roll over because you got $1 billion.
And just share
The only
information.
difference between me and any of these billionaires is they have $1 billion and we put our clothes on the same way.
Yeah.
That's all.
Exactly.
I said, they run their show and I run mine.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. And you know, you kind of have to be that way about it, especially when it's the fact of, yes, they're a civil servant. You know, would you be threatened by a civil servant? You shouldn't be. They're working for you.
And what last fun thing is one of my abductees in Dallas, Texas, is a cop, and he's a specialty. He works in the medical field, and he had an event one night, and a fascinating case. Really, really solid individual. He calls me, and anyway, long story short is he tells me I've got certain evidence on my skin. I don't know how it got there. And he said, maybe an implant. I said, okay, good to know. Sends them to me and everything. And 2 weeks later, 2 special agents from the FBI, actual special agents, active, knocked on the door. 2 different cars, 2 different locations. And he said, they identified themselves. And I said, oh, okay, I'm a cop. Why are you here? They nervously said to help you with your alien problem.
Oh, wow.
He said, what alien problem would that be? He called me later and he says, Derrel, he said, are they reading my email? I said, probably. And I said, you work in a real high-tech, I said, I have a top secret clearance. They do this stuff. And they're reading your stuff, of course. And he said, well, I told them, they said, dude, did you find any evidence? And he said, yes. Do you still have it?
Oh, no.
And he said, I sent it off to be studied.
Where?
And they looked at him and said, you sent it to Derrel Sims in Houston, Texas.
Oh, wow.
He said, they knew you. I said, of course they do. I said, they're not interested in me. They're interested in you. The reason is because you're in a high-tech business, and the Chinese and Russians and other folks, other people in the medical industry love to have your stuff, and you're supposed to be protecting that.
Yeah.
I said, this is part of the program. I said, don't feel intimidated. I said, they're just doing their job, and they have to talk alien to you because they don't know what else to say, you know.
But, yeah, they don't have the clearances to know what else to say.
You're okay, and they're okay, and he said, but they knew. I said, of course they know me. I said, it's not me they're interested in. They know who I am. They know what I do.
Yeah.
And everybody's known that for a long time.
Yeah, you're the known quantitative in that situation.
I like it better that way.
Yeah.
I don't want my house broken into. They're not going to get anything anyway. The point is that if you keep as much as possible open as possible, you limit exposure in a negative sense of the word. So it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. And let's explore that for a minute, especially when it comes to the world of implants, Derrel, because you've been on the trail of implants for decades now. I mean, some of the first implant work that I heard of, aside from Dr. Lear, was you. And quite literally, I mean, you've got stuff sitting right over at your table. You yourself have had implants pulled from you. How does somebody find out? How do you detect an implant? Let's start there.
Most people, first of all, Dr. Roger Lear was a podiatrist, foot doctor, and I was his mentor. And I brought him into this to show him what to do and then later he split and did his own thing. But for locating an implant, like one thing Roger wrote in his book, he said wrote they're all on the left side. I said, I told you not to write the book before you talked to me. Well, all of them we saw on the left side. I said, that's the only ones I showed you. I didn't show you the ones on the right side or in the middle. I didn't show you any of those. Why? That's because you're going to write dumb things about it. You shouldn't do that. Learn the whole thing, then you're informed and you can write correctly. Anyway, how one might find them, most people find them accidentally. They find them, their doctor says, what is that BB thing doing there? What are those 9 metal objects doing behind your ear in a big lump?
Yeah.
What is that? And they don't know. They don't have a clue. I said, so then people contact me, and several did today. And I've got several of them going to get x-rays now. And we'll look at those. Now, it's imperative for your people to know 99% of the people out there do not have any kind of implant whatsoever. They're extremely rare.
Yeah.
I don't care what you read on the internet. And
Yep.
They're just rare.
If they're anywhere beyond 1%, you're no longer talking anomaly. You're talking something much more commonplace, Derrel.
Yep.
That's the issue you're dealing with.
That's very true. And so I tell people that, like one guy said, well, he's a real abductee. He's got this thing in his hand. And I said, when did that been? It's been there since I was a kid. I said, do you ever play with sharp pencils? Yeah, we poke at each other. I said, like in the hand? That's graphite. It will stay there forever.
Yep.
And just because you're an abductee doesn't make that an implant. It's called pencil lead.
I've got a piece in my leg from elementary school.
It happens.
I'm 48.
That's an alien implant.
It ain't going away.
Pencil lead is what it is.
It ain't going away.
Yeah, it's not likely. So, but I don't care. And some people get real personal about this. If you tell them they don't have an implant and they think they do, they got a bump or a lump or something.
Yeah.
You tell them that's not an implant. Oh boy. Well, you're part of the conspiracy. You're part of the cabal.
And one of the big causes with my show, Derrel, is targeted individuals. People who for decades have complained about electronic means of harassment, things akin to Havana syndrome, things like that, sure. even implants themselves. And whenever I come to a TI's home to do a scan for radio frequencies, things like that, my first litmus test is, well, let's get rid of known quantitatives. I'm pulling out my radon detector. I'm pulling out my carbon monoxide detector. I'm pulling out a gas leak detector.
That's right.
And we're going to look for fault lines. We're going to look for radiation sources. We're going to eliminate everything except for radio signals till we get to radio signals.
That would be wise.
And it's a great litmus test because how okay are they with you checking that? How are you, and at the same token, it's also one of those, it's very interesting sometimes to see the family's response to that because somebody is taking them seriously.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see the dynamic not only from the experiencer side, but from the family side as well. Sure. And I'm sure it's very much similar with the case of alien implant, things like that.
A perfect example of this is a banker called me one time, and not about a year ago, and he said, I think all your stuff's a bunch of bunk and all that. And I said, okay. He said, I think it's all weird. I said, it's definitely weird.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm happy with your concerns. Why are you calling me? Well, my dad claimed to be an abductee and said he had an implant in the back of his leg. And I said, okay. And? Well, he died. Okay. We're friends with the mortician. Okay. We had him open up his leg, and sure enough, there's an object that big in the back of his leg. And he said, I'm going to send it to you. And I said, thank you. But we don't believe in all this stuff. I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not about belief. It's about evidence.
It's about data.
I don't care about that. So anyway, we've been having a good conversation for the last couple of years, and the point is that it's a biologic. It's not part of the human body at all. And I have it over there. It's about 1 inch across. The thing's huge, and we're going to do some biological work on it next. But the point is, it's not a calcification. It's not any of those things. It's I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. So we're interested, to say the very least. Got pathologists doing some work on it now. But it's fascinating to watch the family's response to all this. They don't believe in any of it. Well, we thought Dad was crazy. Yeah, but Dad's got something in his leg that he remembers somebody putting in his leg, and they didn't look human. And so the response of the family and watching that
come to
system,
fruition.
It's fascinating, to say the least.
Yeah, and it really is interesting once again to see that catalyzation of somebody's realization of a situation, even after somebody's death, that, oh wow, maybe Dad wasn't crazy.
Well, the fascinating thing about it to me is I had him describe in great detail. Tell me about your dad.
Yeah.
He said, what's relevant? I said, just talk to me. Yeah. Tell me about your daddy.
Yeah.
He said, well, he loved baseball. He was a fanatic over it. And I said, okay. Was his favorite baseball player, Lou Gehrig? And I said, okay. He got this thing, and he's had alien contact, and he had this thing in his leg and all that. And he went on and on. And I said, my daddy's favorite loved baseball more than anybody. And I said, the amazing thing about him, he fanned out a semi-pro team in the 9th grade. They wanted to hire him to go pro right away.
Wow.
And he's not a big guy. I said, my daddy died of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Wow.
I said, my daddy had something in his leg, too, from it was an abductee, in my opinion, as well. I said, I find it fascinating that our dads are very similar.
And I have found it very fascinating. Earlier we were talking about Kathleen Martin and her research into familial lines when it comes to experience, when it comes to abduction, things like that. I find that very fascinating, the fact that these experiences of abduction tend to run in a familial line. And even the idea of, after somebody in the family is abducted or has a close encounter experience, that experiences of paranormal tend to follow the family too.
Well, we put together some statistics a long time ago, back in the 80s, that what we discovered right off the bat, 45% of the people taken, Native American, Indian, Irish, Celtic, and another portion of them even are Basque of northern Spain.
Oh, wow.
I found 2 Basque people at Roswell stood up and said, oh, my God, we're both abductees. We're Basque. We're purebred Basque. And I said,
wow.
I said, you guys have got quite a temper, too. And he said, he certainly does. Anyway, it's fun. But even with black people, you can ask the same question if they're abductees. The black people would tend to frame it in another way. They call it riding a witch.
Okay.
It sits on your chest and you can't breathe and all that. They said, we don't like to call it abduction because we don't like to be, I said, like other people. They said, yeah. I said, so it's okay. It doesn't matter to me. It's whatever you want to call it. And but I asked this one black lady, wonderful lady. I said, what nationality are you, sweetie? And she said, well, Miss Sims, we're black. And I said, well, I understand that in your voice. But I said, most of us are not pure anything. I'm not. Yeah. Like a Heinz 57 variety. Yeah. She says, I said, what else are you? She said, well, we Cherokee Irish. Now, how did I know that?
Yeah, there you go.
And it's just, and all of us are. She said, we adopted a son, and he's Cherokee Irish too. I said, isn't that interesting how that all happens? And he's the prime person being taken right now.
Wow.
She says, why is that? And I said, we'll talk about it when I get there.
Wow. And
fascinating.
And we've got to have you on again and again, Derrel. I'm so glad to have finally caught up with you in person at an event. I've been coattail chasing you on social media.
Well, it's hard to catch me with all them wanted posters out. I got to keep moving.
That's it. You got to keep incognito somehow.
That's it.
Let everybody know where they can go, to get a hold of you if they are an abductee, if they're trying to find out more information about implants in themselves, family members, things like that. Where can they go to get a hold of you? Where can they go to get help? And where can they go to get your new book and keep up with all the research that is Derrel Sims?
Well, the answer to that's two ways. The first way is you simply go alienhunter.com and click on Alien Hunter, and it'll automatically email me, and I'll be glad to answer your questions or help you in any way I can. And the service is free. We don't charge anything for it. Never
Beautiful.
Haven't charged anything for the surgeries. I pay for that out of my pocket. It's the reason I'm broke. But the point is that I know what's happened to these people.
Yeah.
And I can't profit off of that. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Absolutely. And that's so entirely beautiful. The fact that you put yourself out there to help others within the community find the answers that they need, to find the literal closure and resolution that they need.
Hopefully that's the case.
It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for everything that you do, Derrel. Thank you so much for your appearance. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. While you are online checking out everything from Derrel Sims at alienhunter.com, everybody, make sure to stop on by Curious Realm. CuriousRealm.com is where you can like, follow, subscribe, comment. It's where you can find all of the places that we are carried, both audio and video format. Stay tuned through these quick breaks. We'll be right back with the conclusion of our coverage from the Texas UFOCon right here in Jefferson, Texas. Right after this, folks.
The key to good science is good research. At the heart of good research is a good data set. With the field observation and encounter log from Curious Research, you can easily keep track of your investigative information all in one place, making it easier to review cases and readily see comparisons and contrasts between them. Whether out in the woods squatching, in a back room gathering EVPs, or using high-tech gear to track UFO, UAP activity, this easy-to-carry, pocket-sized scientific data log is the perfect companion for any field researcher. You can find your copy of the Curious Research Field Observation and Encounter Log at Amazon.com or visit the official Curious Realm store at CuriousRealm.com/store to reserve your copy for yourself, your family, or a mind that you want to open. That website again is CuriousRealm.com/store.